Hi, my name is Nathan Quao and welcome to Citi TV's breakdown of match day 3 of the ongoing European Championships in France. We are out at the studio, we are planning kebab here in Osu, and we will be doing this breakdown. Benjamin Nketsia will join me in a bit. Welcome. Benjamin Nketsia joins me for this breakdown. Ben, it's been a fantastic match day 3. Now, Ronaldo finally got to score. We saw the Swedes getting dumped up by Belgium. And Wales did the unthinkable. They beat Italy surprising, even though their talents have qualified.
Well, match day 3 provided quite a number of surprises for me. First of all, I'd want to say that Ireland-Italy result really surprised me. But I guess that the Irish were up against it. I mean, it was win the game or risk going home. And they had come too far and they had too much quality to miss out on the knockout phase of the competition. I just believe that at the end of the day, there was more to play for and the players felt like they had a point to prove, and that was enough for them. Now,
Antonio Conte, and I've listened to him say that he's learned a lot from the team that played against the Irish. I mean, of course, he made changes, but is he telling us that he's not comfortable with the second side, or he's just telling us that he knows who he wants to use at a particular time to do a particular job? Because we all know the star men in this team, and this was a good shot for some of these guys to come in and fight for places in the next round.
Well, honestly, I think that you can look at it from the fact that he made a lot of changes going into that game, or you can also look at it from the fact that Italy had already qualified, so the desire to go out and win might not have diminished totally, but was certainly lower than it was in the opening 2 games, and that has a tendency to happen. Of course, you've used 2 sets of players in the first 2 games, and then you change or you make quite a significant number of changes, will obviously affect chemistry. I don't think that Italy necessarily have anything to worry about so far. I feel that they've been on point, or they've been one of the more organized sides at the competition. They might not have some of the talent that some of the teams at the competition have, but they do have tactical discipline. They do have leadership in every portion of the pitch. I mean, you look at the goalkeeping department, you look at their midfield department, they have Gianluigi Buffon in there, Marquisio is an experienced head in there as well. You look at their front line, Graziano Pelle, he's a bit new.
And I was coming to him, and I wonder what kind of impact he will have, because all these other teams are beginning to find range, especially with their forwards, and Graziano Pelle, he scored only once, and I wonder if he's really the main man for Antonio Conte.
If you look at the history of Italy in tournaments, they're not necessarily your big scoring team. They can actually grind out games right up until they get to maybe the finals or the semi-finals, and then you never know what might happen. But the truth is that Italy, I expect to be a grind out team. I don't expect them to be a team that go out and score 3-4 goals. And in that vein, you might not necessarily need your striker to be firing. Remember that it's only a couple of games and then the tournament is over. If you can get goals from set pieces, which defenders can provide, you can get goals from your midfielders and occasionally from your striker, I think they should be fine.
Let's put the Italians aside. Portugal, they were involved in a very reckless encounter. That's how I call it. 3-3 with Hungary. Your thoughts on that? And the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo in scoring set his own record, the first player to score in 4 straight European Championships.
Well, I mean, a lot of people talked up Ronaldo's inability to get going in the competition, but 2 goals and he's already 1 goal behind the top scorer in the competition. So you guess he's one of those guys who gets talked about when he scores goals and gets talked about when he doesn't score goals as well. So it's pretty regular for Cristiano Ronaldo to get the bashing, but I just get the sense that Portugal have merely bought themselves more time in the competition. They will get knocked off their perch. They come up against Croatia in the second round, and you get the sense that it will be a very tough task for them. Once again, Portugal have to break out of the Ronaldo will save the day sort of mentality. They need to go out there and chip in whatever way possible. The game against Hungary might have taught them some valuable lessons, because you got the sense that players like Pepe and João Moutinho finally began to push and wanted to make something of the game. That's the sort of desire they will need to go for.
Portugal, they strike me as an interesting team. They play better when they are under pressure. When they must pull out a good performance, they will do that. But like I said, I thought they were reckless against Hungary. That defense needs a lot more work. Players need to be very aware of what they are doing, and I thought it was poor job on Balajujak. Now here you have a player who's all left foot, and you are still allowing him to cut in from the right and go at a goalkeeper down his left foot. But for the Hungarians, they've made it. They will be very happy with what they've done. The experience is showing Zuzak and Zoltan Gera leading the line for them as they head into the next round.
Valuable experience. And what this actually does is that it opens the eyes of other teams to the threats of the Hungarians. For instance, in their next game,
Belgium.
Yes, of course, and the Belgians have not been convincing. So I will pit this as a game of equals from the start, from what I have seen from both the Hungarians and the Belgians. And what I'm driving at is the fact that now all the teams, or Belgium, will pinpoint Zuzak as the danger man. So they will fashion out a plan to keep him out of their area, or to keep him from doing damage, and that opens up spaces for other team members to be able to do stuff. So I mean, what you might find in Zuzak will necessarily not negate the threat of the Hungarians, but might open up new avenues for them to attack, and I think that will make them extra dangerous for whichever team they come up against. As for Zoltan Gera, he's just shown us that experience really is the most valuable asset you can count on in a tournament of this nature.
Let's move them to the side. Iceland, they wowed everybody by even qualifying. They've made it to the second round. They play England, and I'm sure you've heard the audio of the commentator losing his head. But what have they done right in this tournament? Because you look at their team, even though they've got players playing in France, in England, all over Europe, they still didn't strike anybody as a team that could make it out of the groups.
Well, first of all, I think that they started off by playing with no expectations, and that always goes a long way to boost the confidence of a team. I mean, you know that the world isn't expecting too much from you, your countrymen aren't expecting too much from you, so it's like a pickup game. You go out there with your friends to have fun, only you are in national team uniforms and you are live on TV. I think that's been gradually the mentality of the guys from Iceland, and it's worked for them so far. You look at Gylfi Sigurdsson as well, and I think that he's led them also in doing the simple things. You watch their matches and they don't try to do too much. Simple passes, they get in front, they try to lay the ball off to the most available man, intercept the ball, direct football, and it's served them well. They've just not overcomplicated the football.
Just on that theme, and I've loved how they've played. My only problem is that they need to get their forwards to score. Now Sigurdsson, who plays in Nantes, he's won the most aerial challenges, over 30, about 36. He hasn't found the net yet. And moving on, you think that they'll need him to score. Of course, Gylfi Sigurdsson, you mentioned, is getting goals. Bjornason and Hernandez are pitching in from midfield. Do you think that it should concern them that Sigurdsson is not scoring? He hasn't found the net yet in this tournament, or they should keep going with this particular strategy, and who knows where it will take them?
Again, like I said, in a tournament of this nature, you really do not need your strikers to come score 3, 4, or 5 goals. I mean, in the knockout rounds is what we are entering into right now. And a goal might be all you need to get into the next stage. It might be from a dead ball situation. It might be from the penalty spot, whichever scenario it is. But I mean, it gives a team a different sort of confidence when they know that their forwards are getting their forwards are getting on the end of crosses, on the end of passes to score goals. But then again, you also want to know that everybody else is capable of chipping in with a goal, especially when it gets tough. Because I can tell you that in the very difficult games, you might not be able to rely solely on your forward men to score. You might need other teammates to be able to play a bigger role.
Excellent. Huge surprise on that first one. But just before we head into the games for the second round, just quick questions. What has been your goal of the first round? It clearly must be Luka Modric.
My goal of the first round.
Well, the group stage.
I've actually changed my stance. My initial goal of the first round, I said, was from Payet in the opening game. Well, I changed my mind. Marek Hamšík. Yes, the goal from the angle went in off the post, and also went in off the post and into the back of the net. I think that was amazing. It took everybody else by surprise. The distance, the technique, and of course, the goals always look better when they go in off the post.
Well, for me, it's Luka Modric and his strike. Fantastic strike. Caught it first time. It went into the net. But let's head into this knockout stage. And the Croats have been giving a tough time. They've got to play against Portugal. Now, you say the Croats have the edge in that game because of Portugal's recklessness. That's a bit settled. The Switzerland and Poland, I feel that this is where the Swiss adventure comes from. And I feel the Poles have too much experience and they're a bit too solid for Switzerland. I don't know what you think.
Well, it's a tricky game to call. But I look at this game and I think that I might have to contradict myself a bit here and say that Poland, unlike the other teams in the competition, might need their talisman and their top scorer, Robert Lewandowski, to get on the score sheet and to be able to push the team. He is sort of the unit around which everybody builds or everybody moves in this particular line.
I found him quite weird. He's been in good positions. He's contributed to the play. but he's not fussing
exactly
over the goals, and I wonder why he's just keeping a cool head.
And I don't know where Poland will get goals from, because their midfield isn't necessarily.
Błaszczykowski scored the other day.
Błaszczykowski has a very unusual habit of squandering a lot of opportunities before he gets one in the back of the net. So, I mean, in a knockout game, you need more certainty with regards to your forwards. I don't think Poland can find that. They can find defensive stability, they can find midfield solidity, but I'm not sure of their attack. And that's where it might just play into the hands of the Swiss, because you watch the Swiss in the group stages, and they might not have scored a lot of goals, but they do create a lot of goals. They get a lot of goals from various wingers, defensive midfielders. Even the defenders can chip in every now and then. So I feel that for this one, Switzerland just look like they have more dynamism about them, and it might just be enough.
The British battle, Wales and Northern Ireland, who wins? Now Wales, they've surprised everybody, they played well. Guys, Wales has powered them to this stage. Now they take on Northern Ireland, who sneaked in via Sweden's group and have surprisingly made it.
Well, I think that the Welsh have proven beyond doubt that they are more than just participants of this competition. Gareth Bale has done really well to carry the torch of his country. Aaron Ramsey, he's put in some really hard work.
Had a fantastic encounter against the Russians the other night.
Exactly, he's putting an extra shift, he's covering an extra blade of grass, he's everywhere on the pitch, and we all know Aaron Ramsey. When it comes to crunch time, he will deliver. He can score big goals at big times for his country. I feel that Wales inevitably will have too much for Northern Ireland to handle. Northern Ireland, I am actually surprised have made it this far in the competition, but Wales, like they showed against England, could actually surprise quite a number of people and maybe even go all the way.
Okay, so there's Croatia, Portugal, where we know where your biases lie. I want the Portuguese to upset the Croats, but that looks like a long shot. There's France, Ireland, and Robbie Brady, we saw him scoring against the Italians. Can they pose a problem? I feel that France will have a lot more between their teeth in this particular encounter. Now they play in Lyon on Sunday. Can they get it right? The French have an knack of scoring late, but this Irish team, after what we saw against Italy, can pose problems.
Well, I think this is where the real test begins for the French. Now they are out of the group stage, one match and you are out. Now in the knockout phases, the pressure is 10 times higher. So I mean, for the goals you were able to get in the group stages late in the game, it will come 10 times more difficult right now, because teams are extra careful. Teams do not want to leave the competition. But then that also plays into the hands of the French, because teams will be more desperate, which could create spaces for your star men to come into play. For Pogba, if what we saw in the last game of the group stages was anything to go by, he is raring to go and raring to prove his doubters and naysayers wrong. I believe that that is enough motivation for him, that people are already calling his credibility into doubt going into the crunch time of the tournament. So he might want to step up with some goals, he might want to step up with some assists somewhere, he might want to lead the team emotionally. I also feel that he needs to cut out a lot of the over-elaboration from his game.
Isn't that what marks him out? That, marks him out to be a good player. I feel that he needs to be freed. He needs to feel in control. But of course, I agree with you if you say that he needs to cut out the shenanigans, because of course that really hampers the play. So do you think France is getting a win on this one?
Yeah, they certainly should. I mean, they should be too strong for Ireland. After Ireland, then it will get tricky.
Okay, so there's Germany, Slovakia. It's a quick one.
Very, very tricky.
Not as straightforward as anybody thinks it is.
I think is my tie of the round of 16. Okay. Remember that Germany played Slovakia just before coming into the competition, and they were beaten
3-1.
They were beaten by 3 goals to 1. Convincing, I must say. And the Germans looked distraught and bereft of confidence in that particular encounter. And if you know the Slovaks, they are generally just about one of the most organized sides in the competition. Okay. They managed to make it out of their group as well. Talismanic captain in Marek Hamsik, we know what he can do. He is a good passer of the ball, bullet on foot
as you've seen from the group stage,
from distance. And of course, there are a lot of other unmentioned players in here. Defensive stalwart Martin Skrtel. He's led his team emotionally so far, and I believe that he will feel like he has a point to prove as well. But the Slovaks have a very, very tenacious midfield. I think that's where everything starts for them. They know how to keep the ball, and when they don't have the ball, they know how to sit back and defend well.
I think it will be a huge test for Germany. We've seen them cruise through games, but we've never seen them being tested. And like you mentioned, they got beaten in the pre-tournament friendly. So that's a tricky one. There's Hungary versus Belgium. You've mentioned that. Italy versus Spain. Now this strikes us as a very complicated tie. Now both teams surprisingly lost their last group games, and all of a sudden they've got to get back to basic gear and see what happens. We've seen the Italians, they want to make changes. Spain need to respond very quickly. Can they get something past these Italians who can be very crafty in tournaments?
Well, I think you couldn't have put it any better. This looks like attack versus defense all over again. And the Italians, it's one thing you need to admire about the Italians. They never go into a match kidding themselves. They always know their strengths and their weaknesses. They won't go into the match against Spain trying to match them boot for boot with regards to possession and also surging up the pitch. They will hold the ball for as long as possible when they have it and park the bus when Spain have it. They get you on the break and they will deliver. We saw them against Belgium. That counter-attacking machinery works to perfection, especially in the 3-5-2 system Antonio Conte is employed.
I've seen that 3-5-2 and Matteo Darmian's position, especially in match day 1, high up the field. They left me wondering what exactly he was going to be deployed for, but we'll see how they work things out. So you feel the Italians will drag this game, but who wins it?
It's a really close one to call, but I think that at the end of the day, Spain will feel that as defending champions, it will be embarrassing for them to exit the competition right after the group stages. So that desire alone might just be enough for them, but you never know what might happen. The Italians always have an X-factor performance, especially in big games, and Spain might just have to watch out for that.
The final one is England, Iceland, and all of a sudden the English, I think they should start getting worried. Because you face an Iceland team that's got quality in Sigurdsson, Sigthorsson, Gudjonsson and all the other guys. But there's a unifying bit about them. And already Roy Hodgson has been called into question by the English FA for the changes he made. Dele Ali, who hasn't performed properly. And there are still question marks over what his best starting 11 is. Can England survive this game? Or the Iceland team will manage to freeze them out and qualify?
Well, England certainly won't want to be frozen out. But I think that is England's biggest problem. The fact that Roy Hodgson still cannot find a concrete starting 11. And I heard him speak about Daniel Sturridge and Jamie Vardy when they came into the last game of the last game of the round. He still doesn't seem convinced with the forwards he has, not even Harry Kane. And if your manager doesn't have confidence in you at this point in the competition, then that obviously doesn't bode well for the team. But for England, I feel that they should be able to navigate this one. Iceland will prove a tough nut to crack, but England should have more about them. I mean, if you cannot navigate Iceland in the round of 16, then
England struggle to break
problem.
down Slovakia.
Slovakia are a more difficult and more tactically organized team than Iceland. I feel that England need to get to a point where they need to knock off the flashy football they are playing so far and get results. They need to be able to play ugly to win games. I think that they've got to a point where now they have become concerned with pleasing the crowd.
It's always been that. It's always been, can England play well? Can they pass as well as Spain? Are they great on the ball as the Germans are? Are they as quick as the French? And they've ticked all the boxes, but they aren't scoring goals.
Exactly my point. I think that you just need to play to your strengths, especially when you are playing with a centre forward like Jamie Vardy, Harry Kane. These are guys who can improvise. They can switch up play and switch up the attack just to match a system. Daniel Sturridge, I'm not too sure with him. So maybe you could go for a Harry Kane, Jamie Vardy pairing. But primarily, England have to sort out a permanent starting lineup for this one. They need to make up their mind on who they need to go with. And when things are not going well, we will really zone in on what Roy Hodgson brings to the table with regards to switching up play and also making crucial changes that can change a game.
So fantastic thoughts there, Ben. But that's how we end our review of match day 3. We've been looking ahead to the second round of the Euro. So we'll be back after all the football has been played on Saturday, Sunday and on Monday night. Catch us for another video as we look ahead to the quarterfinals. It's beginning to get extra complicated and extra exciting in the 2016 Euro Championships in France. My name is Nathan Quao. This has been a Citi TV presentation. We are back for our next video.